evening, everyone, and welcome to the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the World show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Team, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Thank you. That feels more real tonight than it has in a long time, probably since I won the 2018 Best Media Award here in Spokane that Praxis put on. And the reason is because, in case you missed it, yesterday, which there had yet to be an episode yesterday when I found this out, and so since then there has been an episode and then now another episode before this month closes out, but got news yesterday that yesterday makes May. That's right. May, the month of May, the most listened to, downloaded, and live tune-in, I guess would be the right phrase. But anyway, the most plays for the Fan Show in a single month. So thank you, Fan Nation. You guys are awesome. It was truly a great feeling, and I think that obviously you guys have to tune in, right? You have to either tune in, you download it, or you listen to it on demand in some way, shape, or form, whether you're subscribed to the podcast or not. But it can't be done without you. And trust me, I may have tried a time or two to see if, do I need them to tune in to get good numbers, or can I just make up the numbers myself? Can I listen twice a day and fluff my numbers enough where it looks like I'm a big deal? And no, it doesn't work that way, folks. Trust me. So you guys have to tune in. You guys have to listen. You guys have to download. And the downloads alone for the month of May, I don't know what's in the water as far as downloading, but my goodness, we had more downloads in May than there were of plays, downloads, and live listens for the month of April. I was on the road a lot in April. I know April was a very, very busy month for the Fan Show. I tried to bring you guys the best quality product 3 nights a week that I could. But, man, May crushed it. And so thank you guys so much. And we're going to have another great episode tonight. In case you missed it last night, we had the founder of Lilac City Comic-Con, Nathan O'Brien, on the show. Great time talking to him, getting to know a bit more about what it takes to put on your own Comic-Con, which I had no idea, but it's been over 10 years. He said 5 was what he was gunning for, and clearly it's doubled that and then some, but very happy for Mr. O'Brien. I think this weekend is going to be a lot of fun. My first Comic-Con in any way, shape, or form, so very excited about that. I have officially wrapped up my second course for Full Sail University, the entertainment business. This was a tougher course, I will tell you that, because my first one was creative presentation. That was a lot of fun. I got to toy around a little bit more with what all it takes to put into a creative presentation, audio, video, so forth, and I got a lot from that class. Didn't expect to get a lot, but I did. And then business entertainment. Oh man, I figured that this was going to be that one class, right, that was really going to start filling in the holes. And I think that it did, but it was a tough go. And it was because there was so much to be discussed, so much talking about the analytics of everything, the behind the scenes, what goes into making an entertainment business, making it in the entertainment business. There was projects where we had to look up, oh, geez. There was stuff like just going through the levels of employment for different media entities. I kept choosing NBC Universal because I'm a big fan of NBC Sports and what they do. And there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes, the network of who reports to who communicates to who talks to who's above and below who. And it was really eye-opening experience. So I was very grateful for that class. And, I think overall it's been an amazing journey, and I'm very excited to have, having this continue and put my best foot forward. I have a really high bar set for myself for this whole thing, and I think it's something that I wanted to do for myself. I don't feel like I need this for what I'm doing. I want this for what I'm doing. I don't want there to be any excuse for someone not to hire me, get the show and put it on their network, or to sponsor me. I want there to be no excuses, and this is doing that. This course, the Dan Patrick School of Sports Broadcasting, I think was created specifically for me, someone like me, and so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get through it, and I'm gonna crush this thing. So we're moving on to course number 3. And it is the intro to sportscasting. That's right. If I had a done, I would play it there, because this is going to require a lot of me filming myself, a lot of me doing in front of the camera instead of behind the camera, behind the microphone. I love being on the microphone. I do. But if this was simulcast, I don't know how well I would do. It's the little things. But hey, it's been a lot of fun. And I am so grateful for everyone's support during this journey. I couldn't have asked for a better group to call Fan Nation. So tonight's episode, we're going to wrap things up. Jeff Ziemba, quarterback for the Arizona Rattlers, is going to be joining me here in probably about 5 minutes. And then Rob Storm of the National Arena League is going to be joining me as well. So we're going to talk to a player and then a higher up, an executive, a man who watches the dollars and cents and who makes the calls. It's going to be, So looks like my final grade for business media, 90.76. Wow. I finished it only got better. So I started out week 1, I got an 81% overall for those assignments. Week 2, 84. Week 3, 95. Week 4, 99.1. So I hit my stride. I was excited about it. And to infinity and beyond. We're moving on. We're moving on up. So let's go ahead and do these headline thingies. Headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. I've been selling a bunch of shirts that they made me. Great quality product. I just sold 4 more tonight. I think I'm delivering a 5th and maybe a 6th, and I'm going to sell some more tomorrow and deliver some more. But it's been such just a great way to go and say thank you. Yes, I'm selling them and they're being paid for, but to hand deliver these shirts and have people tell me how much they love them, I think is really something special. So Dynamite Enterprises help make it happen. Ethan, I talk about him all the time on the show in the last month because he's done great work for me. I trust his product because when we went and we got together, I said, this is what I'm looking for. What do you think about this? In your expert opinion, being the guy that does a bunch of these orders and things like this, what would you do? And how would you do this? Because that's the kind of business relationship you have to have. You can't go to someone and say, I want this like this, and it has to be this way, because a lot of times it can't be that way. I used to love getting tattoos. I haven't gotten one in a while, but I remember that with every tattoo that I've gotten, and I've got 5 of them, it was, this is what I want. Here's the concept. Let me see what you can do. Or maybe I even had the sketch from a friend of mine. Can you do this? And they would be like, well, if you want this to age well, if you want it to look good, let's try doing this and switching this around. Or, for where you want this, I can't do that. But hey, what about this? There's got to be that give and take. And that's what Ethan and I have with the Fan Show and Dynamite Enterprises. It's give and take. He went through all of his most popular shirt brands and said, with this company you get a very true to size, and it's a very soft fabric. It's not going to wear down quickly with like your first 3 washes. He's like, it is a little bit more expensive, but it's well worth it. Especially we're going to hand pick your colors for your logo, and we're going to make these things look fantastic. And he did. I couldn't be more happy with the product. So thank you, Ethan. Go and customize your world. Told him what I wanted. He gave me the feedback, said what he could do, and that's the best working relationship that you can have. The give and the take. So customize your world. Foam fingers, pens, coasters, hats, banners, scarves. I'm sure they can do it all. Footballs even. If you want to have your own custom football lanyards, which I wish I had for the Comic-Con this weekend, but that's okay. I've got t-shirts to sell. So if you'd like to support the Fan Show, then go and give a like and a follow on the Instagram to Dynamite Enterprises and hit up Ethan and be like, hey, I heard great things about you from the Fan Show. Let's see what we can work out. And he will help customize your world. And the headlines are that the Stanley Cup playoffs are going to be better than the NBA Finals. We're seeing the fourth in a row of the Warriors and Cavaliers, and I'm over it. But right now, the series for the Stanley Cup Finals tied at 1-1. That's right. I think it was a 3-2 victory for the Capitals last night, who are adding a history of their own. That was their first Stanley Cup Finals win last night. So we got a couple of first-timers here, and somebody is going to go home with their franchise's first Stanley Cup, and it'll be a never have I ever is scratched off the list. Will it be the Golden Knights? Will it be the Capitals? This is shaping up to be a great series. I hope it goes all 7. And you know my thoughts about how 7 I think is too many. Why not just be the best of 5? But yeah, let's have this thing go 7. With the NBA Finals, I hope the Warriors freaking sweep them in 5. Or 4, I guess. 4. So we'll see what happens. But it's been quiet around the league. I'll be the first to tell you. It is that time of year. The OTAs are happening. Rookies have reported. We're talking about fantasy football now. I got hit up by Mr. Brandon Raper last night. He's like, hey, you want fantasy articles yet? Yeah. Hey, if you can do them, let's do them. Comic-Con is this weekend for you in Spokane, which if you're in the Spokane or Washington area, drive up from Tri-Cities if you're there, or even over from Seattle. It's going to be a great time. Lou Ferrigno will be there. I will be there in all of my Fan Show glory to mix with, hopefully, the newest members of Fan Nation, whoever those people may be. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I thank Nathan O'Brien for, one, giving me time on the show last night to talk with him about it, and two, for letting me be there and this be my first Comic-Con experience. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think I've said it's going to be a lot of fun a lot of times. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. That'll bring us to the end of the headlines portion of the show, where I will go and bring on my first guest, quarterback of the Arizona Rattlers, Jeff Ziemba. So don't touch that dial. Don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more of the Fan Show coming up right after this. You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com, or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Joining me, making his debut on the Fan Show, better late than never, it is quarterback of the Arizona Rattlers, Jeff Ziemba. Welcome, Jeff. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a pleasure to have you. You guys have had a really great season, and of course, expectations bound to be high after the team won its first in the IFL last year. Your story, though, kind of different. There was some quarterback competition at the beginning of the season. Verlin Reed got named the starter, and then he got hurt. You took the reins, and it's been your offense to lead ever since. How would you describe your 2018 campaign?
It's been pretty crazy.
I was back at home working 2 different jobs, and I got the call to come in late to camp, and had to make a quick decision. Came out and been working pretty hard now, and everything's been falling into place. Unfortunately, Verlon had to get hurt, but things have been doing well.
Yeah, and you always want to get your opportunity, right? But you never want it to be at the expense of another person's, ill comings, like an injury or something like that. But obviously, you've done the best with your opportunity that you could. Arizona Rattlers are obviously in the driver's seat to be in the playoffs and then possibly even host their first IFL championship game. So for you, how long have you been around football, and is this your first go in the indoor game?
I've been around football my whole life. I started at 6, but I played college and in West Virginia, a small school named Shepherd University. And after my season, took a year off and got the call here. And now it's just been great with the Arizona Rattlers. Took a little while to get used to because this is my first time doing the indoor football. But it's been going well so far. Coach Guy and Coach Axman, the other coaches, have been doing a great job of getting me caught up to speed.
Have you heard of or played, well, I guess not played, but have you heard of or watched any indoor ball, whether it be at the arena leagues or in the indoor leagues? And then what did you know about Coach Guy, if anything, before you showed up to camp?
I've watched a couple of the AFL games, the Philadelphia Soul. That's near where I live. I'm originally from Delaware, so I watched a couple of those games and even a couple of Baltimore games. But other than that, I'm not too familiar with the game. I didn't know much about Coach Guy at all until I got that call.
And your thoughts about him now? He's probably, well, he's the winningest coach in Arizona Rattlers history, but he's one of the best in the business of football all around at this level or any other. Your thoughts about Guy now that you've gotten through almost a full season with him?
He's a great coach. He definitely knows his football. I mean, he coaches both sides of the football, so he knows his defense and his offense, and the way he can break down the film and just the way he understands everything about the game and putting us in the right situation to win games.
How long do you think it took you to finally get your indoor feet under you, I guess, the concept of the game and the pace of the game, or are you still kind of learning or getting, every snap is maybe a new experience?
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely still learning. There's a lot of different things that had to change. It took me probably 3 or 4 games to understand the speed of the game and realizing that I don't have as much time. I got to get the ball out faster and getting through my reads quicker. But transition's been fun.
Yeah, and you said that you were watching Philadelphia Soul games. Had you reached out to that franchise or organization at all, or vice versa?
I have not. No, I kind of waiting to see what happens after the season and hopefully talk to a bunch of different teams. If not, I'd love to come back here with Arizona.
So you've got quite the offense there. You've got some weapons in Amos, and then, of course, Darrell Monroe, who had a record-breaking game, and that was your guys' 300th win. So you've been a part of some history. You've seen some fantastic moments. But as far as for you personally, did you have any goals you set for yourself or anything that you wanted to accomplish with your time in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got out here, I wanted to at first make the team and then become a starter at some point. And really just do the best that I could. And I kind of got thrown into the action pretty quick. So from there, I just wanted to keep doing what I can to allow my team to win and just keep moving forward to our ultimate goal in winning the championship.
What would a championship win mean to you, especially being your first time in the indoor game and everything that you've sort of had to overcome with learning the game and being the next man up and just everything that Arizona's had to do and kind of place on your shoulders as the leader of the team?
Well, I mean, it would be a great feeling. Just with these guys out here. I mean, getting to know these guys has been great, and just winning that would be amazing, with proving to people that I can come to the next level and do what I have to do to win.
Yeah, speaking of the next level, what is that your ultimate goal at this point still? You want to get a crack at the CFL or maybe the NFL?
Yes, I definitely would be excited to get an opportunity. That was one of my goals, is to try and get to the CFL to see if I can work my way back up and get into the NFL.
And how's that been going for you so far? Any rumblings, rumors, or?
No, when I was in college, I talked to a few teams, but nothing serious. Never really got a call or anything. So when I got this call, it was really my first opportunity. So I had to take it and take the flight out to Phoenix.
Now, you guys are pretty unique there in Arizona. You guys practice outdoors for an indoor game, and I know that the players I've talked to, it's like they love being outside, but the heat can be something fierce, and it's because Coach Guy likes to get you guys well conditioned so that it's a bit more relaxing when you actually take the field indoors. How's your experience with that been, or would you prefer AC at this point?
I think it's definitely like a good idea. Of course, I don't like it when I have to put that helmet and cleats on and go outside, but it definitely helps us. We're out there working very hard, and it definitely it'll mess with you at times and make you mess up in plays. So it gets us mentally ready. But it was definitely a struggle at first, not being used to a wall, and then going out the first game, and now there's magically a wall in the way. So it was definitely interesting, but do a good job of getting everybody ready. So
a lot of guys that I've talked to, that this was their first stint in the indoor game after playing, outdoors at college level for so long, they actually almost preferred the pace of the indoor game, just because it almost makes things not necessarily easier on you, but as far as when you go to take a snap on a full 100-yard field, it's like you can actually go through your reads, and you're so used to that pace that it's like taking a step back, kind of like practicing out in 120-degree heat and then taking it inside for game day. Has that been your sort of perspective of it as a player?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely different from the outdoor game, especially because, the outdoor game, normally you pick a side to start reading from, and out here you might have to look at a backside corner to be playing a post or something like that. So it was definitely a little different to get used to.
Other than the pace of the game, what was the biggest challenge for you as far as the one thing that you were really struggling with to finally get over that hump in this game?
I'd say probably the communication side, with understanding the two high motions. That was very new to me. So just timing that up and having them running before the play was definitely different.
Yeah, it is. It's something to behold, and you have to see it to almost believe it. But it's a unique style of play. I think you've done a great job. You were the Offensive Player of the Week a while back, and I think maybe multiple times even, but you've certainly held the reins well, because you come from a franchise you play for a franchise that has a good line of quarterbacks under it. Of course, Cody Sokol took him to the United Bowl last year and won it. How have the fans, how's that reception been and everything as far as the community, and how has Arizona treated you?
They've treated me great. The Rattler family, all the fans, they're great. They're very loyal to coming to the games. We always have thousands of people there, so it's a great atmosphere. They when they first found out that I was number 13, they all would come up to me and say, "Do you know who that is?" and tell me how the jersey's retired and it's up in the Ring of Honor. So then So I was hearing that, and they're saying that it was the best quarterback to ever come here. And then they would say, but the one way to get everybody to stop talking is to win. So
yeah,
that's what I've been trying to do ever since.
Well, you guys have another tough contest against the Iowa Barnstormers back in Iowa. Of course, for you, this was your, I think, second game of the season. I was there for that first meeting in Iowa, so you still had very much your, your sea legs had yet to get under you as far as the indoor game and being a quarterback for an indoor team. But this league and the teams, very competitive, and it's hard to, go a series undefeated. But I don't know, what is Coach Kevin Guy's message been like going into this third and final matchup before the postseason with the Iowa Barnstormers?
Really just to come out and have our special teams, offense, and defense play a full game because it's going to be very hard to beat us when we're all clicking. And just to be the more physical team and come out there and do it so we can get home field advantage and make everybody come to the desert for the playoffs.
Yeah, the July championship in Phoenix. That's it's a dream come true. Well, I don't know what your mindset is going into a game like this. I know for a lot of players it's just another game, but obviously dropping 2 in a row to them this season and knowing that it's going to be one of those things where if you don't meet them before the championship, it would be in the championship if things continue this way. So have you done anything differently since your time as starting quarterback with the Rattlers as far as game prep or just getting in the Ziemba zone?
I have not. I try to treat every game as if it's the same or even as at practice. I don't have any normal rituals or any certain music I listen to. I kind of just like to absorb the day and hang out and just show up and do my best.
And how well do you guys travel when it comes to road games, especially in an environment that's probably anxiously awaiting for you to get there in Wells Fargo Arena?
I mean, we've done pretty well, other than our first game to Iowa. Unfortunately, that was my first start, and that might have had something to do with it. We weren't all the way clicking on the offensive side, so we're looking forward to getting back out there and having a great game out in Iowa.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably – I mean, you guys have already had 2 pretty much games of the year, especially this last one. What a thriller in overtime. I know that you guys obviously didn't get the outcome that you wanted, but you guys have made history, the most wins, and then Coach Guy being the winningest head coach, Daryl Monroe's performance, and you being sort of at the center of it all by default just because you were, baptism by fire and got thrown into the deep end and said, hey, you better swim. So I think that it's been – an awesome journey to watch you. I didn't even know how to pronounce your last name at first, so obviously we've come quite a long way, and it's been great to have you on the show. So, Jeff, best of luck this weekend. Should be another fantastic contest, but thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Take care. Safe travels.
Thank you. Have a good one.
That was quarterback Jeff Ziemba of the Arizona Rattlers. And at no point did he tell me that it was pronounced differently, so I'm just going to assume that I'm pronouncing it right now. But good guy, I think, very much up for the leadership role on that team. Fans and numbers. I tell you, there is very, very sensitive surface right there when it comes to fans and who wears what. I know Peyton Manning had to get permission from whoever it was that originally wore 18 for Denver and had it retired, and he gave him his permission. But, in all honesty, if I was a player and I had a number retired and a player asked me if they could wear it, I would be honored, I would be flattered, and I would appreciate that they asked me, but I would tell them no. And that might sound wrong to you guys. You may be calling foul, boo, blah, 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 blah. But it's look, I wore the number. I made it what it was, obviously enough to be retired. Why should someone else get to wear that number? So I'm grateful that Jeff is obviously living up to the number 13 because, yes, it is a big deal there in Arizona, and I know that the Snake Pit and Rattler Nation love him there, and it's going to be a great time this weekend, and we've only got only so much football left. It's kind of depressing. We've got the games this weekend, which tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. First matchup is the Sioux Falls Storm in Green Bay to take on the Blizzard. Kickoff is at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. So 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific for that one. And then another 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific is the following day. Nebraska Danger going into Cedar Rapids. Nebraska really needs to get another win, more so than the Titans, just because I don't know if Green Bay will beat Sioux Falls, but if they do, man, that puts them right in Nebraska's rearview mirror for that fourth and final playoff spot. And then the marquee event, the primetime game of games for this regular season. It will be the Arizona Rattlers for the third and final time this regular season against the Iowa Barnstormers. If it was best of 3, Iowa would take it, but obviously with their records being tied right now, granted that Arizona has one more win than Iowa. If Iowa were to win, they would have sole possession of first place in the IFL. Hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because Arizona's 10-2, Iowa is 9-2. And this is sort of that tricky thing, that difficult part about having the seasons where you can play a different amount of games than another team. So obviously, Iowa wants to go 3 for 3. If they do that, they are then 10-2. Arizona falls to 10-3. And so now you've got the best record any way that you slice it if you're Iowa. If they lose, though, it would be 9-3 and 11-2. My God, what a difference that makes. If you're Arizona, you almost need to win this game, because then the other two seem as if they didn't even matter. And then the next week we have Iowa on the road in Sioux Falls against the Storm. That one will still mean a lot, win or lose this weekend, but it will mean way more if they lose. If they lose, and if Sioux Falls wins this weekend against Green Bay, now you're looking at a 9-3 Sioux Falls Storm team and a 9-3 Iowa Barnstormers team. And they have split the series. This will be the third and final time they play this regular season. And so Iowa could be looking at first place and drop all the way down to third in the span of 7 days. So that's the ifs. We've talked about ifs all week long. Joe Stacy talking about if this and if that, and me if. So these games are the most important of the season. Everything else that you have done has led to this point. But if you can't get one more win this weekend, man, you're behind the 8 ball going into the playoffs. You're on the road, and you will most likely not host the championship if you make it. That's for all of the top 3 teams. Nebraska's not hosting anything. Okay, plain and simple. They're not going to host the championship if Nebraska is in it. So they're going to go on the road to the championship should they be the team that pulls off the ultimate upset in these playoffs and gets there. So right now, the way that the playoffs would shape up, I believe, because it's a new format. It's no longer conferences. It's just one conference, one league. The top 4 move on. Arizona would host Nebraska. Iowa would host Sioux Falls. With a win this weekend, Iowa would host Nebraska. Arizona would host Sioux Falls. And that would be something. That really would. that would be interesting. Either way, we're going to get a great final 2 rounds of the postseason with the playoff and then the championship. It's going to be one hell of a finish. We're in the thick of it. There's no better time to tune in and hop on the bandwagon for the Indoor Football League than right now for the National Arena League. And before I forget, the IFL, they'll have the last game between the Titans and the Blizzard on June 9th. Arizona Rattlers and the Nebraska Danger on June 16th. Don't know how much that game will matter at that point. And then Green Bay will end its season in Sioux Falls, and Cedar Rapids will end its season in Iowa. How much meaning will that game have, if any? at all. So, the National Arena League, though, they've got some matchups coming up this weekend. I believe we already talked about it. But the Carolina Cobras are on the road to Lehigh Valley to take on the Steelhawks. Chad Columber, he is going to be playing professional football in his hometown for the first time. How crazy is that? Very exciting for Chad. I think it'll be a great time, especially because he's been hurt the last couple of games. So it'd be good for him to suit up, get back out there in front of his hometown. The Pirates take on the Mammoths in Maine. That'll be a good one as well. Both of those games Saturday at 7 Eastern, at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And then the Columbus Lions against the Jacksonville Sharks, round 2 of last year's NAL championship game. The rematch, the Lions currently 1-0 over the Sharks this season. So, Cobras, I feel like they're probably going to keep winning over the Steelhawks. The Lions and the Sharks. Lions need to win in order to prove their legitimacy as far as the top dog in the league. Pirates, I think, will probably defeat Maine, but Maine could prove to be difficult to put down this weekend. They're at home. They've been getting better and better. And then, of course, the Sharks would really like to upset the Lions and keep their 4-game winning streak going to 5. But we're going to talk more about that with my next guest, Rob Storm, who is one of the executives. He's one of the co-owners of a few of the NAL teams. We'll get his official title when he comes on the show, but very excited to have him because it's something that I don't get to talk to a whole lot of bigwigs from the leagues. I've had IFL Commissioner Mike Allshouse on the show twice. Haven't had him on in over a year, though. I'm not sure if it's because he doesn't like me. I don't know. It is what it is. But Rob, I think, is going to be a great guest. This apparently is like one of his first interviews that he's ever done. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also very excited about co-working, which apologize for the delay on letting you guys know about Praxis. But hey, what can I say that I haven't already? Praxis co-working is where it's at if you are in the Spokane, Washington area. Because if you're looking to be yourself at work, if you own your own business, if you're an Ethan with Dynamite Enterprises, if you're a Richard with the F.A.N show, if you're a Bob with Bob's Burgers in Spokane and you want to have a space that you can go and it can be yours and you can work from there. Maybe Bob from Bob's Burgers can't because he's got to be at the restaurant, but maybe he lets his son or daughter or his wife or his buddy, his co-owner, run the place while he goes and does the books or whatever. He can go and put on the sweatpants or maybe even a nice pair of slacks, some comfortable shoes, maybe slippers, and hang out at Praxis, which is located at 157 South Howard Street in Spokane. It is a 9-minute walk from River Park Square, and they are doing monthly memberships, and with this membership, you get all the amenities, both recreational and professional. They offer a kitchenette, a desk, conference rooms, big and small. You've got access to everything that they have there. They have little get-togethers, little soirees, little parties. They even put on award shows, like one that I was part of and received Best Media Award. They are all about entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you consider yourself to be a person of the people and you are going to run your business and you're going to be successful, then they've got a space for you. They've got a discounted rate for 3 months right now, but Praxis wants to encourage you to be yourself at work. They want you to be the best that you can be at work. They want you to live the best work life that you can. And so the big news from Praxis is that they're offering a new type of membership. They're calling it Praxis Plus. They've noticed that over the past few months, some of their members are growing their businesses quickly and have brought on contractors, interns, and even their first employees. For most, this represents a huge step in evolution in their businesses, and we couldn't be more excited for them. To accommodate this trend, Praxis is offering a new and improved membership that they think you will love. Now, with your Praxis membership, you can work with your employee, contractor, and intern, all included in the $275 monthly fee, or $247.50 if you sign up for a 3-month agreement. Praxis Co-working. Hit up Robbie, great individual, ROBBI at praxiscoworking.com, and be yourself at work. We will be right back with my second and final guest of the evening, Rob Storm, right after this. You're listening to The F.A.N. Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's the F.A.N. Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazzisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It was like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Like Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Joining me now is a member of the National Arena League who's got his hands in quite a few teams down there, but it's overall a fantastic product so far this season. It is Rob Storm. Welcome to the program, Mr. Storm.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on, and I was debating what your official title is. Are you an executive, a team owner? Like, what's on your business card?
Honestly, I don't have a business card, but with the league, I'm an executive director, and with the teams, I'm an owner. Jacksonville Sharks, Carolina Cobras, and Maine Mammoths.
And those three teams, Maine obviously doesn't have the best record, but I think that they have done very well for the state of Maine and the Portland area. And then, of course, Carolina, hard to argue with that. Great product out on the field. And the Sharks, they're on a 4-game winning streak right now going up against Columbus. I got to say, job well done. This league has proven to be very competitive, very entertaining, a lot of fun to watch. Has it lived up to what your expectations were when you guys got this thing going?
I think so. Again, we can't take all the credit for it. I mean, it comes in with having a great staff. Maine in general, I know they don't have the greatest record. They're still finding their spot. We've got a great coach. We've got a great staff and a great team. So I think as the season progresses, we're going to see a lot more cohesiveness out of the team. And again, in Carolina, Billy's done a great job. He's been doing this a long time, just like Fuller has. But Billy just does things a little differently, and he's got that core of guys that are just loyal to him, and it just works together.
Now having
the Sharks.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying the Sharks have been doing it forever, so but at least we're still finding.
Yeah, that's very true, and they won't go down easy if at all. So they're coming back. They got a big matchup this weekend. Now, with having your hand in 3 different teams, which is half the league right now, is there any sort of does one team maybe have more of your attention than another? Because obviously you said, Billy has his core group of guys in Carolina, so he's pretty well set, and then Jacksonville's been doing it for a while. So do you maybe pay more attention to Maine because it's kind of the newer of the newest teams?
I don't. I give them all the same thing. I don't have a favorite team per se.
Well, that's
I on that side, I look at it from a business side. And that's what it is. Obviously I love a weekend like this because I don't have a single one of my teams playing my other team. So that's going to be nice. But I do support all the guys. They all do a great job. They bust their butts. And, and that's what it's all about. It's about entertainment for the fans.
So you, Jeff Bucci, and the rest of the guys that have made this all come together. I was there in Carolina for the opener against the Sharks. What a game that was! And there's been so many great games all season long. You guys, when you watch 3 expansion teams come out of the gate and be competitive like the Pirates, the Mammoths, and the Cobras have, is that above what you had set forth as far as your expectation? Like, are we talking dream come true to see it be this point in the season and this competitive?
Honestly, no. I mean, I knew we had it. Last year it was a thrown together thing. We did the best we could, and I mean, the fans actually got a chance to see some of those issues and problems. Going into this season, we knew we had the stability. We knew we had good owners, competitive teams. So, no, I really don't think so. I mean, we're all very happy. I mean, we're not disappointed in the least. We're trying a different approach. I've had people ask me, why do I have 3 teams? And it's not because I just want to have 3 teams, but it's a part of expansion as well. In so many different leagues, what you see is they try to, find the owners that have checkbooks and have interest in football. Say, hey, you need a team, you need a franchise. And they help them the best they can. But what you end up seeing is 50% of those, fall out, and only 20% of the rest actually become successful. So what we're trying to do here with this approach is to build the teams. So when an owner wants to get into a market, they're set up a lot more. The league and all around, we're supportive of them as team owners, as partners, and as league members. We want this to be successful. We're not trying to, compete against any other league. We've pretty much established our own little niche, and we just want to play good football, have great entertainment, be a great part of our communities, and enjoy.
Yeah, I think Billy Back has spoke obviously very highly about you guys. Who he was formerly in the IFL with another great team in the Nighthawks, and it was some tough decisions were made by him in the off season. But when him and I talked about it and sort of weighed the pros and cons and the options, I said, you're going to do what's best for you. And at this point, I think that only you really know what the best is, because you've been there, you've done that, and whoever is promising you the best stuff, and you believe that they'll hold up to those promises, that's where I think that you should go. And he said that he's been happy ever since about the decision he made to come to the NAL, just the way that you guys conduct yourselves, the business standpoint, and then the way that you guys take care of the teams, which I think has been incredible. I can attest to this. I think that the way that you guys have run things and the way that this season has gone has spoken volumes with the actions. Now, when I was there and talked to you, you said that you had spoken a few times with Ron Schertz, the owner of the Rattlers, and you said that he gets it. What does it mean to you for an owner that doesn't get it? Like, what is missing with them owning a franchise that is that one thing?
My personal opinion, because that's really all it's going to be. It may or may not be right, but the business side. I mean, that's the biggest part where I've seen in struggles and failures with teams. You get the passion, you get people that love football, you got people that are good at football. But if you don't have that business side, again, all you've got are a bunch of players and a bunch of fans, and nobody can pay the rent and nobody can make payroll.
Yeah, that's
and that's a recipe for disaster. We're seeing that around some in other little areas now. I hate it. I try to respect everybody in the business, but it does get a little frustrating sometimes, because all in all, whether it's, AFL, NAL, IFL, CIF, at the end of the day, the fans and the public really don't see the difference. But when they see a problem from one of those, it gives people a bad taste in their mouth on the product in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The fans are going to be what essentially ends up paying the bills and keeping the lights on. And if they're not happy, nobody's happy. So to have a devout fan base, you want to reward that with a good product. I mean, a team can have a losing season, but as long as they're putting forth the effort week in and week out and really having that connection with the fans is probably one of the single most important things that it's really hard to put a price tag on. Ideally, from your perspective, in your opinion, where would you like to see the NAL go as far as what's your magic number of teams? And of those teams, how many would you, Rob Storm, like to have your hand in?
Well, I mean, from the business side, I don't know. Whatever makes sense. That's what I would have my hand in. If it's something I can realistically, be a positive part on, I wouldn't have a limit. But spreading myself too thin, that doesn't do anybody any good.
No.
The opinions all around are so different. I guess I would be happy with a top end of about 14 teams. Now, that's not saying, the NAL would never want to have more, or wouldn't be okay with some less. But in my mind, that's a good number. I'm not trying to be out there with 20 teams. You try to stack too many teams, you get problems. Who knows what 10 years will bring? Who knows? 10 years from now, we may have 20 teams in the league. I don't know. But we're not in a rush to overgrow quickly. When you do things like that, you make mistakes. And a lot of us in the business have learned from some of those mistakes and had to suffer the consequences of other owners' failures.
Yeah.
So, we want slow, consistent growth. But at the end of the day, the fans are going to dictate what the NAL is or becomes.
You guys have clearly...
So it's our job to keep them entertained and happy.
Yeah, and I think that they're probably very happy at this point. Midway through the season, we've got a very competitive league right now. You guys have set a great pace in my mind. This being your second year, you have the teams that you want, where you want them right now, and you're going to grow at your own pace. And I think that you guys have set a great pace. Now, you guys are as far south as Jacksonville and as far north as Maine, which you can't get much farther north on the East Coast than Maine. So you said earlier that you found your spot, you kind of found your niche. What's the furthest, I guess, west at this point that you guys would go? And do you have any cities in mind for next season that you'd like to see about bringing a franchise to?
Well, I won't get too much into the expansion ideas, but yes, there are some that I know that are being worked on. There are some that I'm personally working on. No point in really putting those out there. People have seen some of the stuff and, the guesses and things like that. But, I don't want to put out too much information because, if something doesn't go right, people get upset. So, as far as you saying, a second-year league, I get that as far as the NAL is concerned. But other than, a few of the teams here, you got the Sharks, you got the Lions, you got Lehigh with many, many years experience. What's been really good about the NAL is we've been able to pull together some good owners and partners that have the experience, that have the desire, that have the same mindset of success. And we're growing on that. And we couldn't do it without all the partners. It's no one specific team or person. And that's what I really do like and appreciate about the NAL. We can handle our business. We enjoy football. And at the end of the day, we're totally fine sitting down after the game and drinking a beer together.
So is there a city that's too far west for you guys to possibly expand to? Is it going to be an East Coast city?
I don't think so. Like, as far as short term, yeah, I don't think much past, maybe Kentucky, Tennessee, those areas. To go much further, and not to say we wouldn't, for the right team or organization, but, we're getting to the point at that area where we'd have to be looking at conferences.
Yeah.
We don't want to create, and forgive me, but an AFL situation where, the teams are having the budget, $150,000 just because they have to fly everywhere.
Yeah. No, you don't want that.
No.
Well,
so, eventually I'd love to see it all throughout the country. Will it happen? I don't know. If it were to happen, it wouldn't be for a long time.
But until
then,
yeah,
we're definitely open to anything.
Yeah, and until then, you guys are just going to
be smart about it.
Yeah, it's quality football through good business practices, and I think that is something that the average fan might overlook, and that's what's bringing good product to the field.
That's the beautiful thing about this side.
Yeah.
The public it's supposed to be seamless. They're not supposed to see the business side.
Yeah.
They're supposed to just be able to enjoy the football. You know, the business side is here just to make sure the football side continues.
Yeah, and I'm all the way across the country, and I can tell you I've definitely enjoyed the NAL product. Had great first experience there in Greensboro, and then I'm looking to be there in Boston next month, and then Jacksonville also. So I hope to see you again down the road, but it was a privilege and pleasure to meet you finally in person in that season opener. But I am honored that this has been one of your first interviews and that could be on the Fan Show. I hope it wasn't too Dateline-ish for you or anything, and you're not sweating bullets too bad.
Not at all.
All right, well, I will let you get back to your
Thanks
evening.
for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It's Rob Storm of the National Arena League. You have a great rest of your night.
You too. Take care now.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for this Thursday edition of the Fan Show. So much good football to watch this weekend. I will be live tweeting as much as I can. I'll be at Comic-Con all weekend. Oh, man, I'm going to have to take like a 3-hour break to watch that Iowa and Arizona game. That's what I'm going to have to do. Unless Lou Ferrigno says this is the only time that you can interview me and I'm only going to interview for 3 hours. Wouldn't that be the case? But either way, if I have to, I will abstain from social media until I have a chance to go and actually watch the Iowa-Arizona game in its entirety without spoilers, the way the good Lord intended. So if you aren't following me on social media yet, you should be at FanShowOfficial on Twitter. That is also Facebook.com/FanShowOfficial for the Facebook. Give us a like, give us a follow. And then, of course, you can see us on Snapchat and Instagram. Both are The Fan Show. Your home base for all things football and nonsense is thefanshow.com, where you can listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And Spreaker as well. They broadcast to you my football and nonsense, and it's always a lot of fun here. Spreaker's been very good, very happy. I do miss WBLZ Sports, but as long as Spreaker's around, I will still be kicking out the hits one after another. We're up to 321 right now. And then if you're a podcast person, if you subscribe, if you listen at your leisure on long walks along the beach, which is the best environment for listening to the Fan Show, I got to tell you that right now. Or at the dog park, or, before you fall asleep, let me talk you to sleep. Then you can find the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. So, have a good weekend. Thank you for listening, Fan Nation. Thank you for the best month ever, stats-wise, for listens, downloads, and live plays. You guys are truly the best. Get your t-shirts. Hit me up. Let's talk. Let's have some fun. Comic-Con this weekend. Indoor football. National Arena League football. You got a great weekend of sports, football, and nonsense ahead of you. So until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners! And remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks!
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.